Really, a knife is just pure, humble function. You know what I mean? The functionality of them is what it's all about. And obviously, you can get a decorative if you as you like and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's a blade, and it works. And there's something lovely about that. And the whole point of my knives is that they're used. I think the whole point of any knife is that it's used. My name is Hugo Byrne, and I'm a knife maker based here in Limerick City. I make chef knives for everyday use out of high carbon steel and using native hardwoods and found objects and that kind of thing in the handles. It's the kind of the oldest tool known to man. Do you know what I mean? As soon as we encountered something that our fingernails and our teeth couldn't handle, someone picked up a rock and started using that basically as a knife. There's something so domestic about them that almost everybody in the world uses a knife at some stage in the day to prepare food for themselves, which I think is really nice. They're so commonplace. Most people don't even think about it. For thousands and thousands of years, people have been using knives to prepare their food with, or for one thing or another. But like a kind of a paintbrush, it's an extension of the hand. There's enough plastic without me having to go and buy more to put it in my handles. And I think there's something lovely about the idea that it might have been floating through the ocean for God knows how long. It could be washed up from China. I don't know. You could use wood that's 100 years old, but then you also use drift plastic that floated up on the beach somewhere, came from anywhere. There's something nice about that kind of juxtaposition, I think. And the functionality is almost the most important part. And don't get me wrong, it's nice if they look lovely as well, of course, but the function is something that I think is particularly nice. And on top of that, I use high carbon steel to make my blades, which is reactive, so the more it's used, the blade begins to patinate and the surface of it darkens and mottles kind of, so it has this really beautiful utilitarian look to it. Right? A year after you buy it, you buy it and it's lovely and polished and clean, but a year later the blade looks completely different. It looks really work worn and used, and that's really what that is that's the blade telling the story of its relationship with its owner. Every time it's been used, it darkens another little bit more, and I think as that happens, the user, the owner, it becomes their knife. You know what I mean? It's not just anyone's knife. It becomes yours. It's telling the story of its relationship with you. But working with Mike it's great. Yeah, having a chance to work with your dad, I think, is really nice if you're able to. He's extremely good problem solver. He's a designer and has been a designer all his life. So, in terms of overcoming things like that, problem solving, it's invaluable. It was great. It was really nice sharing the studio, and he'd often say, "Come here, what do you think of these?" about the pots, and I would say, "Mike, what do you think of this combination of materials for the handle, or this shape? Is that comfortable to hold?" That kind of thing. So it was great to be able to bounce things off each other. And my mother is also an artist and designer as well, and her studio is at the top of the garden. So, lunch around the table was an extremely kind of rigorously creative kind of discussion always. There's a lot of we're all coming at it from a different angle, so it's really good to be able to bounce things off each other. When I was studying sculpture, it was great. It was great in terms of thinking critically about my work. An aesthetic is anything that makes you feel. So it's not just visual. So I think there's something really, using a really sharp, lovely knife that feels well in the hand and is a joy to use. That makes you feel something else altogether, no matter how it looks. I love making them, really. That's the bit for me, is making them. That's the joy, At the end of the day, I don't get to use the knife. When it's done, I wrap it up and post it out to its owner. But I've had a lovely time making it. But what's nice is that it doesn't end there. I put it in the post and it goes out to its owner, and that's the beginning of that knife's life, let's say. And one of the things I really love is that every knife I've made is out there somewhere being used by someone, I hope, every day, and that's ongoing, and that really is that's kind of the magic for me. I think that's really nice.